What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we have our very first OTA of the year. It is January 17th, and we have a couple of cards that are going to be getting some awesome and life of balance and quality of life changes. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start talking about some of these cards and why they will be getting changed and essentially what they've been doing to the meta. But before any of that, I do want to make a small, quick, awesome, just a tiny announcement. Today actually marks the full year of me doing YouTube as a part-time / full-time kind of gig. I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone this past year. I will be uploading another video, in the next couple of days. Celebrating this, but I just wanted to say today marks the full year of me doing YouTube content for a lot of you Marvel Snap players and Call of Duty players. I just really wanted to say thank you guys again. It's been a great fun year, and I've had a lot of fun, and I've met a lot of great people. Shout outs to people like my friend Guest, Prashan, Binks, Super Tech God, people like D Money, and just a whole bunch of other people in general that if I've missed any, like Tucker. I've made some really great friends over the course of the last year. We even became an official partner with Marvel Snap as a content creator, and dreams have just been flying, and I can't be any more thankful than I am. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get right into the OTA. If you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And the first one on the list is Blob.
You just call me Blob?
Blob will be getting a text change and kind of a slight adjustment from a 6/4, merge your deck into this, quote, and gain its total power. It's got its ongoing cannot be moved. His new ability and new text will kind of be a small shift. He's going to be going from a 6/4 to a 6/0. And his new text will be saying, merge cards from your deck into this until it gains 15 or more power. Ongoing can't be moved. So basically, if I'm reading this correctly, this card will basically be going from, instead of getting an absurd amount of power, basically once it hit the 15 mark and a little bit past that, it'll stop. So let me explain this to you. If I'm reading this correctly, it goes from, say for instance, if it hits a 6/14 and say the next card in your deck is a Thanos, basically what that means is that it will go from a 6/14 to a 6/24, and it will stop right there. I do believe that will probably stop the deck from absorbing any further cards, so you can still draw. But that's going to be kind of an interesting concept, because once it hits that 15 mark, it's basically dependent on the card that is in the priority of the deck. So, if you hit say for instance in Thanos decks, if you hit for instance, if you hit 15 on the dot, it will stop right there if it hits like a one powered card. If you hit something like, Power Stone and you're at the 14 mark, it'll basically go up to 17 and he'll stop right there. It's going to have this little bit of a gamble effect, and I do think that that's pretty cool, because if you do hit a good card, like say for instance Infinite, you're still going to have other cards at your disposal, and ultimately it won't be a super bad feeling for you to draw, but you're not going to have that crazy power creep. I don't necessarily I kind of feel bad for a lot of people that got the card, because this is a pretty hard hit to the card, but at the same time this card has kind of been everywhere in the meta, and everyone just kind of plays him now, and it's kind of an easy release for easy power, and pretty much not many things had a whole lot to take care of it. You only had Shang-Chi and basically Shadow King that was the only cards that could take care of it, and it was kind of a feel bad thing. So with that being said, that this card is going to be getting a pretty niche nerf, and yeah. Next on our list is going to be Destroyer. Destroyer is actually going to be going from a 6/15 to a 6/16. He originally, when the game first came out, and for a long time, was a 616. And at one point, he did become kind of a really good power card in the Destroy Professor X deck. And while he's going to be going from a 15, he's going to go back to a 16 to his old roots. And this is just a more revert to the more olden days of how he is. Now that there's a lot of cards that can see a lot more absurd power, it only feels right to put this card back to where he once was. I wouldn't even be surprised to see if this card were to get even more power down the road. That's just my personal take, because of how much and how easy it is nowadays to get a lot more bigger power on the field. But the revert is kind of nice. It's something that a lot of people have been advocating for such a long time, and I'm very excited to see this change. One personal thing that I would like to start seeing is Phoenix Force decks that like to use the Shuri combo. Maybe we'll bring back a Taskmaster where you can basically find a way to Electro in on turn 3, turn 4 you can do a Shuri, turn 5 you can do a Destroyer, and Taskmaster for a turn 6. But who knows, and who will say, it is just nice to be able to see this card kind of revert back to its olden days. Another card that will be basically getting a slight buff is Viper. With the original change not too long ago, where Viper went from a 2 cost to a 3 cost, I guess they're kind of feeling like Viper is just maybe not as used as much as they'd still like to be seen in a junk deck. So they are going to be basically giving it a 3-4 to a 3-5. The small power change is kind of nice, and it will be also cool to see a card like this potentially even go into Cerebro 5s and more Surfer builds. I know that junk deck has kind of been seeing an up and down craze in its current meta, gaining popularity, but it is very interesting to see that they are still trying to highlight this card and give it some time to shine. With that being said, I'm kind of interested to see if there is going to be some interesting new builds with the power buff, and to see it alongside other 3-cost 5-power cards. Another card from the junk deck is the brand new card Saline. Saline will be going from a 1-1 to a 1-2. This will be a very interesting choice. I do believe some of the reasons why they wanted to change this was, I guess, it just didn't perform as well as they would have liked it to have, and they wanted to essentially keep it in line with the Viper and Black Widow combos. That's what it was originally designed to be, and she will be receiving a slight buff. It is nice to see that these cards are going up to 2 power. I would like to see something like this in a Cerebro 2, potentially, maybe even a Cerebro 3 with Bast involved, but it is nice to see that the junk decks will be getting a proper buff alongside, and to be able to see more power on your side versus seeing more power on your opponent's side. I do like the fact that you won't be able to Viper this as much, but you will be able to maintain power on your side, and I do believe that junk deck will get a little stronger with this buff. Alrighty, next on our list is Electra.
What are you?
Blind? Yeah.
I am so sorry.
Electra has been wildly asked for from the community for a while to receive some kind of buff. She has explicitly pretty much never seen a whole lot of play outside of the Pool 1 beginners decks and Pool 2 beginners decks. There is just a lot of cards that she basically is kind of overshadowed by. She will be going from a 1-1 to a 1-2. Now, although this is kind of cool and it's a slight buff, I would still like to see her maybe get a text change, and maybe, from what a lot of people have been kind of asking for, is they want her to destroy a 2-cost card. That would be really exciting to see for the most part. But this card will be going from a 1-1 to a 1-2. I do think that this is a step in the right direction. Is it enough? Probably not. But again, I'm just happy enough to get something rather than nothing. I do believe that they will be watching her as time goes on. I'm not sure if they will ever do the 2 cost, but it is nice to see a card like this go up because of the pool 1 and pool 2 decks. We'll start to see a little bit more of a strength without having to shift their game plan in a tutorial build. I do think that this card will be kind of cool to see more in Cerebro 2s. A lot of these cards that are getting the 2+, and a lot of people know that on my channel, I always like to do a lot of Cerebro builds. But I do think that this is a cool step in the right direction. And basically, it will not only destroy a card, but it will give you the advantage with the extra +1. Next on our list is Dazzler.
There's just more to go to here.
Basically, Dazzler, even though she has been buffed in the past, she hasn't really seen a whole lot of limelight. For the celebrity ex-mutant herself and the great singer that she is, her vocal cords basically have not carried her way up to the top as much as they would like her to be. She will be going from a 3-2 to a 2-2. This will be really cool because now she will actually fit a lot more side mojo and other cards like that. I do also like that fact that this is a card that personally felt like overshadowed one of my favorite cards in the games, Captain America, in the 3-cost category. But now that she's becoming a 2-cost with the same output, it'll be really interesting to see basically how much more utilization that you will see with these, maybe even having a basically a buff to Khazar decks. I do think that that's great. I think this is awesome. And if a cost reduction puts her to 1 cost from a 2 cost, I think that's even better, being a 1/8 in its own. Okay, next on our list is Hercules.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
And yes, I do have this card inked. I have actually been playing this card all week, and I have been absolutely enjoying this card to the fullest. I actually do think Hercules is a phenomenal card. Although I know a lot of people have kind of written him off, I have actually been going up in rank in the Infinite ladder around 500 to 600 SP alone with this card. I feel like he's kind of slept on in some of the things he can do. He will be going from a 4-6 to a 4-7. Now, I'm going to read the notes, but I do want to kind of give some of my opinion about this card before we talk about his notes. I actually believe that Hercules at a 4 cost is a phenomenal card. Sometimes, yes, new cards come out and you just want to play them because you got that card, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you do have to wiggle cards in and figure out how to make them work with the way they are versus having to rely on the developers having to either buff or nerf a card for it to be more flexible for you. Sometimes these cards need a bigger brain so that you have to work around them to see what they can potentially do without having to make a change like that. I truly believe that that's a thing that people should learn to do more versus having to always rely on certain things to help them out. If you can learn to do those things, it actually makes you a much better player in the long run, and it keeps you on your toes so that you can try and experiment with new things. Now, I have been playing with this card all week, and I have been absolutely learning the cool inner and outer combos with him. I have been using him in a move tribunal deck that I personally brewed and have been kind of pushing in my channel for some time. Keep in mind, my channel has always used the move tribunal as a troll or funny joke alongside things, but as recently he has come around, I have become a believer of the archetype. I use a beast package, which makes my 1-cost cards already flexible as it is, and I use Cloak and Hercules, Cloak and Doctor Strange around this card quite frequently, making him absolutely great. I consider him a Shuri or a Nimrod to the move archetype. He is a massive amplifier, causing your move cards to not only move once, but move twice per move effect of a Cloak or Hercules package. Basically, if you use a Cloak or Doctor Strange package on him, they don't just get 1 move, they get 2 ultimately making you get multiple mans or a bigger Human Torch. I have seen bigger numbers with Human Torch more than I've ever seen, and I was so excited to keep showing and showcasing this deck alongside him. And I'm just saying, if they ever do make it to a 3 cost, I do think that he will be an actually broken card in the current meta, causing him to only truly make move archetypes the most aggravating thing to play against. The developers have kind of stated that Hercules released weaker than we would have liked, so we're adding a little power. Our goal remains to try to find an execution that builds an interesting move card at 4 cost. Because diversifying the strategic options across the cost is key for ensuring we have a lot of gameplay variety, we may consider revising the effect in the future if it provides unworkable at his cost. Like I said, I do think that his cost is a slight hard to work around sometimes, but with the right cards around him, he actually works very, very well. It is nice to see cards like Cloak and Doctor Strange around this card get a lot more playability, and vice versa with other cards. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to go on to the last card in the move package, and that is Dagger.
It's time for you to get out. Is that a threat? Is that a glow stick?
Dagger will be going from a 2/2 to a 2/0, but her text change will now be going from a +2 to a +3. Basically, when this moves to a location, rather than getting the +2, she will be getting a +3. It kind of does keep her in the beginning at the same strength, but if moved multiple times, she will be seeing a lot bigger numbers. I do think that this is an absolutely awesome change, and I will be throwing this in my Hercules deck in replacement of either multiple man or other cards. But with that being said, I am very excited to see this card get a change. I haven't ever really seen a whole lot of Dagger being used outside of certain niches. Sorry, I have hiccups here. And yeah, but for the most part, it is nice to see a card like this get a change for the better. With that being said, guys, this is all the OTA that I can provide. But this was a cool little start to the year. I can't wait to see the new cards that come out, what shakes up the metagame, and yeah. For more daily content and for more, Marvel Snap content, if you guys can, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. And I'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.